Welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you here as part of our webinar this week. I am broadcasting live from our San Jose office in California. Whitney and I flew in this morning to do this webinar, as well as work on some of the things in preparation for some events we're working on. So it's a lot of fun to be in a new place. Hopefully you can see us and hear us okay. It's a different internet connection, so hopefully there's no lag on your side and everybody can see and hear us okay. We want to make sure that everyone can participate in this webinar today. We're going to be talking about creating compelling model homes. This is the second in a series of 3 builder program webinars that we're doing. And we've got some great special guests on the line, as you can see them here, all smiling. Wave to everybody. And we'll introduce them here in just a moment. Like I said, I want to make sure that everybody can participate. So one of the things we'd like to do is make sure that you can locate the GoToWebinar control panel you used to log into the webinar today and find the section called chat or questions. Find that for me right now. Say hello to Whitney. Whitney's monitoring those questions for us. I've got the presentation on my screen, so I can't see your questions as they come in, but Whitney will be able to see them, and she's going to help us field those questions and comments as well. I think there's a lot of people on this call today, on this webinar today, who've got a lot of great experience with builders and creating model homes, and we'd like to hear that experience. We'd like you to share your best practices so that we can all learn from them and discuss them. And hopefully we can all improve. So it's a really fun opportunity for us all to get together. So again, there's a lot of people on here, so we're really grateful for everyone dialing in today and taking time out of their busy week to spend time learning about this subject. Whitney, people jumping in, or you got people communicating with us?
Yeah, Chris, Cynthia, Glenn, Ned,
oh, wow, nice. Hello, everyone. Hey, Chris. Hey, Cynthia. Hey, Glenn. I don't know any more names that I should say hello to? Michael, Steve, Alan. We got lots of people on. Literally, this is, every webinar seems to have just a record number of people participating in it. So if you're coming back from a previous webinar, hopefully you participated in our first webinar. And if not, then you at least got to watch the recording online. Again, welcome. Lost video of me and Madison. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that video thing turned off. Again, we might be experiencing a little bit of lag here and there with the internet, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you guys can all hear me well, and we'll try and get that video reestablished here in a moment. So thank you for telling us. And that's the kind of communication we want from you guys too, whether it's, hey, we can't hear you very well, or hey, there's a problem, the slide isn't showing something, or it's a question, hey, what you're showing on the slide doesn't jive with what I've had. Can you tell me more about that, or can you explain it more in depth? We want to know that kind of stuff. That's what makes these webinars great is your feedback and your participation. So again, thank you for that in advance. Sunny California is awesome. Weather's great here. Hopefully your weather is just as awesome. School starts next week for my kids, so it'll be interesting to get back to the regular routines. But we've got one more week left of freedom before that happens. I do want to give you guys a little preview of what's happening next week during our back to school week. We're also doing a really great, exciting webinar about LTE upgrade programs, and you'll see an official registration email go out for that here in the next day or so. Whitney, why don't you give everyone that's on the call today early access to that registration? We're going to make sure you guys can register for that right now. This is going to be a really interesting webinar, you guys. As you know, the LTE 3G sunset, 3G to LTE sunset's coming up very quickly, and we all have to be ready for it. Qolsys is on top of the game, and we have been working with several dealers to build emails, videos, all sorts of great content for you to help you get those LTE upgrades done. You can see there's some flyers here. There's an example of an email we've made, and we've been working with several dealers, many of which are on the line today. And we're going to share some of those best practices, share what we found to be successful, help you get some assets so you can start creating a program now so you don't have to worry about playing catch up when that sunset happens, and you can be proactive and in many ways use that 3G to LTE excuse as a reason to get more referrals, to get a higher attach rate on devices, and all sorts of things. So it's going to be a really interesting webinar. I encourage everyone to click on that link right now and get registered for it. And again, the official email will be sent out here in the next day or so, and you'll be able to forward that to your friends and get them joining as well. And that's going to be next 22nd, which I believe is a Thursday. I believe that's next Thursday. So be watching for that. I want to do some introductions. As you know, my name is Jeremy McLerran. I run marketing here at Qolsys. But we've also got Madison Bowles, the builder channel manager from alarm.com. Madison, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Yep, happy to have you on today. Madison, if you don't know Madison, she is amazing at what she does. She has got more understanding of the builder market than almost anyone else I know, and she has really been able to take the alarm.com's position in the builder market and really, really escalate it and improve it. So whether it's working with builders or working with dealers like you to help builders, there's a lot of support there that Madison and her team's been providing, and we are honored to be participating in that program. So thank you very much, Madison, for being on today. We've also got Spencer Moore, VP of Sales and Marketing for Rapid Response, and Spencer is going to be providing us with some really interesting data today that he's obtained from Parks and Associates. Spencer, thanks for joining us all the way from New York, isn't it? I think we might have lost Spencer. Spencer, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
There he is. Welcome.
Here we are. I'm talking to myself. We're full of technical difficulties today. That's fantastic.
That's okay. Yeah.
Appreciate the introduction, Jeremy. Thanks so much. We're happy to be here as a partner in the webinar today. A lot of interesting things to be shared, and I'm sure that everybody will find a lot of value. So looking forward to working through it all.
I appreciate that. And Spencer and Madison and I prepared for this webinar today, not just for this webinar, but recaps from last webinar, prepared for this one, and look forward to the next webinar that we're going to be doing about that we'll talk about here in a moment. It's been a real honor working with the Rapid Response team. They're very responsive. Maybe that's why they call them Rapid Responses, because they respond so quickly. Come on, you're supposed to laugh at my jokes. She's busy. She's busy. I get it. Before we dive in, I do want to do a little quick recap of our first webinar. And again, we're not going to do a full in-depth recap here, because if you were participating in that webinar, you got to see this stuff. And if you got to watch the webinar recording. If you didn't, I highly recommend going back and watching that. It's not a prerequisite for this course, as it might be, but I think there's really good information in there about how to create a builder program and how to create a builder proposal that you would take to your builder and try and do it. One of the things we talked about is lowering your creation costs by leveraging the existing contractors. For example, an HVAC contractor is already installing a thermostat in the home. Get the builder to tell that person to install a Z-Wave thermostat, so that way you don't have to do it. So you can lower your creation costs and have that home be Z-Wave ready or smart home ready by having other contractors that are doing other services like door locks, lighting, thermostats, etc., and having them install that kind of stuff for you. You can make recommendations as the expert there. We also talked about having a model home, executive, and employee program for your builders. When you go into the builder, you're not just saying, hey, look, I can outfit your model home, but I've got a program for you, Mr. Builder. As the executive or owner of the building, I want to deck out your house and take care of you. I also have a program for your employees, because if we do this right, every home buyer from you is going to get one of these systems, and your employees are going to want one too. And I've got a special employee purchase program for you. So I think there's some great value there. We talked about construction power savings and the ability to eliminate, maybe not eliminate, but at least lower the cost of power and potential security risks, things like that inside the homes as they're being built by putting a smart solution in early and then keeping it and managing it throughout the process before closing. So there's some real great savings in there. We also talked, and this one got a lot of feedback after our last webinar, about different pricing models, having different options for consumers, a free version, a paid version, a pro version. And we had a lot of people reaching out afterwards. I know Madison and I, both had conversations with different people about how do you structure that? How do you do that? Madison, there was an email just even this morning about that. How do we structure that? How do we create those, and do those kind of programs? And people are very interested in new pricing models that'll help them stay relevant in today's new market. So definitely rewatch that webinar and get that information from that one as well. And you can also reach out to us and we can have a great conversation together about it. We talked about the importance of rebates. And how builders are very, very interested in getting those rebates and how that can be a great motivator to help not only put a system in every single home instead of just being lead generation, but also getting builders more involved in making sure that those home buyers have a meeting with you and you get a chance to upgrade them. And then we talked about the importance of support and the dealer support that you can provide to the builder that other companies simply can't. If the home builders out there buying smart home technology now, they probably don't have a professional support line like yours that has potentially a footprint in their area with trucks and experts who can come out and troubleshoot and work on things. That support is going to be really, really important in the builder program. And of course, that support is also for you from people like us. Alarm.com and Qolsys together work very hard to support you in your builder efforts. And so there's a lot of support there as well. So it was a great webinar. Again, watch it on our YouTube channel. If you don't have the link to that, type it in the chat and Whitney will send you the link to it right now, and you can catalog that and watch it later. So hopefully that's going to work for you. I want to start with a few polls here. And let's, Whitney, if you don't mind launching that first poll. This poll questions kind of help us to establish what, who we're talking to, what kind of, situation we are, so that we can make sure that we tailor these conversations to you. So the first question is, are you a professional security and smart home dealer, which I'm guessing most of you are, or are you a builder, or are you someone else? Maybe you're one of our media friends or a partner on the line today, things like that. Let us know who you are so we can understand what the breakdown is. We're gearing most of this presentation today towards the professional security and smart home dealer, but if we know that there's an audience of some of these other groups on there, we want to make sure that we can treat the conversation appropriately, if that makes sense. Whitney, we about 60-70% on that poll? I'm asking a lot of Whitney today.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Normally I have multiple screens up, so I can do that. Okay, go ahead and close that poll, and let's do the next poll for me, if you don't mind. Every time she closed the poll, I can see the camera again. All right, so this is for our dealer partners on the line today. Have you already worked with a builder to create a builder program? And that could be yes or not yet. I'm hoping that many of you have started a builder program, or at least tried to do a builder program of some sort. Maybe you're looking to learn how to do it, so you can go out and create some new business for yourself, and that's great too. But we would like to understand where you're at and what you're doing, so that we can tailor, again, the conversation to what you're doing. Whitney, what's the reaction so far on that? About half and half. Interesting. So about half of the people have not created a builder program before. Very interesting. So that's great. I'm hoping that a lot of you people that are on the line today who've not created a builder program will learn a few things that you can then take and implement into your own builder programs. And again, there's no two builder programs that are the same. So don't feel bad about, wanting yours to be slightly different than what we present. We're going to present best practices and what's worked for us, but you may find that other things work better for you. So let's have a great conversation about it and find out something that works for you. Go ahead and close that poll, Whitney. And let's dive into some data. As we mentioned earlier, Spencer's done a really, really good job working with Parks and Associates to gather some data that's relevant for our conversation today. And the goal being that we can present you with information that helps establish what the market is like, what the opportunity is, so that you can present this same information or similar information to your builders and make a better case for them using your services. Spencer, I thought this one was really interesting. Top 5 smart home devices. And this was based off of broadband households, right?
That's right. So if you look at across the country in the U.S., homes that have broadband internet delivered to the home via whatever carrier, and you look at the top 5 devices that are installed, you can kind of see that on the left of the screen here. The most popular device being the smart thermostat, followed by some sort of internet-enabled camera, followed by smart lighting, video doorbells, and then you get into, and this one may surprise folks, but smart smoke or CO detectors. So more life safety. The first one there, when you can see the percentages of homes that are actually out there using them, we've established which are popular here on the left. When you look at who's actually got these things installed today, 11% of homes that are broadband internet access enabled are using smart thermostats. So that's a fast-growing category, and we'll get into the data a little bit more about what's growing and what's not. Network cameras is right behind, followed by light bulbs, doorbells, and then the smoke and CO detectors, which I think is kind of a newer segment. Most people don't think of those devices as being, smart home, right, or sensor capable in terms of being able to deliver that stuff to a system. But when you work with the right type of partners, you can clearly do that, and it can become part of a valuable system in the home.
What's interesting too, as I look at this data, I immediately assumed that smart thermostats, the number would be higher. So that to me says there's still a massive opportunity out there in the market. If only 11% of the homes have a smart thermostat of some sort, that means the rest of them have dumb thermostats, and that's a great opportunity for us to penetrate that market. It's interesting too when you look at the sequence of those, it's almost chronological. Smart thermostats really started getting a big jump when the Nest thermostat came out, and what someone would consider a smart thermostat is like a Nest thermostat or the Ecobee thermostat or things like that. And that one was kind of the first one. It's been out for many years now. That drew attention to, cameras, and we started seeing more cameras out there. And then, of course, followed by smart light bulbs. The video doorbells is still a fairly new category in the past few years. I'm sure that's gaining momentum. And then the smart CO detectors, I wonder if that's related to Nest or, others coming out with their smoke and CO detectors, and people now saying, oh, maybe I'll get that too and expand my network as well. Because we all know on this call that smart CO detectors and smoke detectors have been around for years within the security industry. But I wonder how many people who have security systems in their homes don't recognize that or think of that as a smart smoke or CO detector. And perhaps because they don't think of it that way, it's an opportunity for our dealers to market themselves a little bit better, a little bit more effectively. Did you know you have a smart smoke detector? You don't have to worry about trying to go to that other company that has one. You already have one. And I know there's quite a few dealers probably on the call today who make a smart smoke detector a standard offer in every single home they do. So really interesting data here. And I thought it was even more interesting when you compare that to the purchase intentions. Now, these are, correct me if I'm wrong, Spencer, but these are what people plan to buy, right?
Yeah, certainly. So when you take a look at this, it kind of ties really closely together with the data that we just looked at, right? It's the same 5 devices that are currently the most popular, also are the most popular planned purchases for this upcoming year. So, and you can see that the relative growth is fairly well aligned. You're looking close to 25% in each of these categories, but you'll notice that the video doorbell takes the lead spot at 25%. So basically what this means is for those that are interested in purchasing a smart home device, 25% of folks say, hey, look, I'm going to buy a smart video doorbell this year. 24% a light bulb, 23% a thermostat, 23% tied there for a smart smoke CO detector, and then 22% for a networked camera. So it's very interesting to see that a lot of these areas are still growing. The doorbell is kind of inching its way forward in front of the thermostat and smart light bulb when you compare the 8% versus the 10 and the 11% of current installation. But the still very strong support for lighting and thermostat in the home, and strong support followed closely behind for detection devices, right? The cameras for visual and video detection, and the smoke detectors for life safety. An interesting stat I read in I think it was USA Today, when you look at network cameras that were sold into homes in 2018 was something in the order of 150 million networked cameras. So that's a very, very fast growing category. And I don't know what the numbers of thermostats are, but I expect to see that continue to increase even more as time goes on.
It's interesting, Joe. I want to ask our dealers on the call today, and you don't have to respond to this, but I want you to ask yourself, if you look at your website right now, if you knew that, 4 out of 10 customers were planning on buying a smart video doorbell, is that the thing that's on your website right now? Is that up at the very top of your website promoting it? When your guys go, knock on the door for the customer, if you've got a door-to-door sales model, are they talking about that video doorbell? If you've got a phone team that's answering the phone from, leads that are coming in or maybe making outbound calls, are they talking about that video doorbell? Is that part of your offer? Is that part of your main offer? I've been surprised at how many security companies are still, in many ways, stuck with their old 2 doors and a motion type mentality. And this makes it very clear that there's a lot of people planning on buying things. And we also know from the data that Madison provided in last week's webinar, or last couple weeks ago's webinar, that the available market is about 20%. That we penetrate, the security industry penetrates about 20% of the available market. That means that more than that 20% is planning on purchasing a video doorbell. Now, is it the same 20% or a different 20%, 25%? I don't know. But it is interesting to note that there's a lot of people who want to buy this stuff, and you on the line today can provide every single thing that's on here. You can provide this, and people are basically saying, I want to buy this stuff. And Spencer, correct me if I'm wrong, but many of these actually, it was a multiple select, correct? They didn't
right.
just choose video doorbell, they could choose more than one.
Certainly. And basically what you're seeing is 25% of broadband households want to buy a doorbell, 24% want to buy a light bulb, 23 want to buy a smart thermostat. So this isn't saying I only pick one and I'm going to end up in one of these categories. You're going to have a lot of people choosing to buy multiple of these devices in different categories and install them or have them installed in their home by somebody here on the phone if you have that opportunity available for them.
Absolutely. And if you think about the opportunity you're now presenting to the builder, you're basically saying, look at all these stats. People want to buy this stuff. I'm going to help you get this stuff into every single home. So when they walk into your home and they see that it has all of these things already, they know that they were planning on buying at least one of these things, if not multiple, and you've already got it as part of the home. That's going to help sell this home even further. And especially as we're talking about model homes today, you're basically saying, hey, all of this stuff is part of the model home experience. We want to make sure that you've got it. So pretty exciting. Spencer, explain this data to us.
Yeah, so this one could be a little bit confusing if you take it out of context and from some of the things we've talked about earlier. But, when we suggested on the last slide that some of these folks were planning to buy multiples of these different categories, if you look at the top here in the green and white, 43% of households intend to purchase a smart home device this year in 2019. And so they'll end up in one of those 5 categories more than likely. But there are other categories that are out there. And so with this data, we wanted to explore some of the other categories that were out there, but also show some of the movement in terms of how the marketplace is moving. So if you look at the most likely intent to buy, as we said before, it's that smart video doorbell. But if you go from earlier, now this is just a few months difference from the blue line to the green line. So the blue line is earlier in 2018 and the green line is later in 2018. The percentages move wildly on some of these. The doorbell goes up by 3%, so people are more likely now to purchase a doorbell. But if you look at something like the smart light bulb, that jumps from 19 to 24%. So that's a 5% increase in folks getting more familiar with, more comfortable with, more interested in the idea. They go to a friend's house, they see an advertisement, they hear from a salesperson about some of this technology, and they're saying, hey, I want that technology too. How do I get that in my home? And so this is exactly the position you want to be in as an installation company, where you can walk into a builder and say, Mr. Builder, these are the type of devices that people want to have in their homes. The data out there in the marketplace supports it, and I can be your answer for that. And you can use all the things that you've learned in the whole 3-part webinar series that we put together about how to make that call, how to build that model home, and how to really build a program that continues to add new customers to your base. And you'll see things in here like, we have our top 5 and they align. So you've got the doorbell, the thermostat, the light bulb, the detector, and the camera. But what comes after that? What else is interesting? And you'll see that it doesn't fall off rapidly. There's a lot of other interest in some of these other categories. So just we had a quarter of the population interested in the first 5. You're still talking about 22% interested in outdoor lighting. Door locks, another thing that works really well with Qolsys and Alarm.com and makes sense to add in your portfolio for home builders. You're north of 20%, and that's a growing category. Then you can look at outlets, plugs, other lighting controls, the garage door thing. That's something I never imagined I would have a smart garage door opener. But now those things are available for some of the biggest manufacturers. You could tie these things all into your home control and your automation platforms through Qolsys and Alarm.com. So very, very interesting data. And I think the 2 major things to walk away with is nearly half of the folks in the country are going to buy one of these devices this year. And every single one of the categories is growing in interest. And so it's something that you're going to want to participate in if you're not already.
Absolutely. Spencer, thank you for that data. It really does help paint a picture for us as we start talking about the model home and what needs to go in that model home. Because if people are really interested in these things, one of the things you're going to want to do is showcase that in the model home, show off that you have these items, as part of whatever home builder, program that you're working with. And then that, hopefully that home buyer then chooses that home and then chooses your services as part of it. And that's why we're here today. Whitney, before we move into the main presentation, any questions or comments about the data that we've shared that are relevant to bring up? No? Not about the data. Okay, we'll hold the rest of them and we'll get to them as we go. I want to talk for a moment about the model home program because I think this creates the foundation around our conversation. Qolsys and Alarm.com have teamed up to create a very robust model home program to make sure that you've got a solid representation of the devices we just talked about a moment ago. The model home program as it stands today, you get an IQ Panel 2 Plus. That's got the 7-inch touchscreen, the built-in 5-megapixel camera. It's got dual SRF featuring PowerG. You'll get 3 PowerG devices, 2-door window sensors and a motion. You'll get access to the mobile app. You'll get a smart thermostat donated by alarm.com. Your choice of either an indoor or outdoor video camera. You'll get a video doorbell. You'll also get your choice of either a Yale Kwikset or Schlage Z-Wave lock, and you'll get a smart garage opener from LiftMaster. So I believe you can also choose a Nortec one, a Z-Wave one as well. But it's a really great representation of here's the basic stuff a smart home needs. And to take advantage of that, all you have to do is send an email to builderprogram@alarm.com or builderprogram@Qolsys.com. And our two programs work very closely together to make sure that we're fulfilling those requests. Now, Madison, there are some requirements to participate in the model home program. You want to share what those are?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously on our side, we're providing all of that free equipment that Jeremy just talked about. So in order for us to provide all of that equipment at no cost, there needs to at least be 25 homes in a community. We really view those as opportunities behind all of that free equipment. And as Jeremy mentioned, it's just a really great opportunity to showcase all of the technology that might be put in the homes in the community, so that when home buyers are coming through a model, they're really seeing all the wow factors that the builder has to offer.
Absolutely. And, you know, when we say 25 homes, you don't have to have the builder commit to doing every single home, and there's basically 25 sales occurring. We hope that that's the case, and we think that if you structure your program the right way, like D.R. Horton did, if you listen to our last webinar, then every single home gets a system, and it's very easy to build your program around that. But if you do have a situation where, you know, there's 25 planned homes in the community, the builder doesn't want to invest and put a system into every single home, as long as there's at least 25 opportunities out there, we're still going to help fulfill that model home equipment for you, because we recognize that to make an investment in that home will hopefully yield results for you and for us. So it's a great win-win opportunity for everyone involved. So again, if you want to take advantage of that opportunity, go to just simply send an email to builderprogram@alarm.com or builderprogram@Qolsys.com. Whichever one you happen to send it to first, we're going to talk to the other one, and we're going to work together to make sure we fulfill the equipment for you. Just be aware that, you know, there are some verifications and things we have to put in place, some information you'll need to complete, things like that. So if it's one of those things where you say, I need this equipment for tomorrow or for next week, things like that, we can't always fulfill all of it. You might need to go buy something from distribution and then turn around and, you know, have the free equipment we send you replace your inventory from what you had to purchase or pull out of your inventory. So now, in terms of managing the model homes, when you actually input this information into alarm.com, there's a special way to indicate which homes are models, right, Madison?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that I've spoken with a lot of our dealer partners who've implemented a builder program, and there's a special way for tracking builder-related accounts on our partner portal. We've actually updated that recently to make it much more streamlined and much easier to do. So as you're seeing here on the screen, there's really two key fields that we're interested in that can obviously help you with reporting these builder accounts as well. So whether you're activating accounts on the alarm.com partner portal or you're seeing a screenshot here of mobile tech, either one, you're able to flag the customer source as builder. And once you do that, you're able to select what builder that is and what community that falls into. And then once you've activated that, on the partner portal, there is a section where it lists out all of the customers that are within the community that you've activated, and you can designate through a checkbox whether or not that that customer is a model home. So it just really allows you to, you know, see through your builder program that you've created how many activations you've had, and then which ones are model homes for tracking purposes for yourself as well.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And if that doesn't make sense to you or you need some help with that, again, just send an email to builderprogram@alarm.com and they'll walk you through the whole process. They've been very good at helping the dealers make sure that they understand exactly what to do, to participate in the program. It's not a lot of steps, just a matter of doing things right so that we administratively can assign things appropriately to where they need to be and then get it out to you as quickly as possible. So Thanks for sharing that. Now, we talked about what's in the model home program itself. And one question that inevitably comes up, and I don't know if it's been chatted in here already, is does that have to change? Is that set in stone? That's a foundation. And if you feel like you need a slightly different model home configuration, you've got two choices. Number one, you could reach out to us, and if the opportunity's right, we might make a tweak to that model home program for you and try and change something up to meet your needs. And we've done that a few times. The other thing we might suggest to you is that, just because Qolsys and alarm.com is providing some equipment doesn't mean that's the only equipment that should be installed in the home. In fact, we suggest you put everything you possibly can in the home. Door sensors on every exterior door and slider, window sensors on every window, door sensors on key interior doors. Maybe it's a children's bedroom or the pantry or the medicine cabinet or the closet where they store chemicals. Imagine if you are an end user or a potential home buyer walking through the house, and as you walk through the house, you're opening doors and looking at things. And every time you open a significant door, I open the pantry door, and you can hear the panel say, "Pantry door open." Maybe they're upstairs. If the panel's downstairs and you're up on the second floor, should there be an IQ remote in the master bedroom or in the hallway up there? Possibly. You, as the dealer, have absolutely the opportunity to take out of your inventory and build out the rest of that model home to showcase what you can do. And we would highly recommend that you do as much as you feel comfortable doing, because every single device you add is going to add value to the home. It's going to protect that model home, and that's an important piece. We'll talk, continue to talk throughout the webinar today, is protecting that model home, but also creating more opportunities. So as the person walks throughout the house, looking at carpets, looking at trim, looking at paint colors, looking at room sizes and configurations, they're being constantly reminded by devices all throughout the home. And we've got some things that we'll talk about here shortly that will help those devices stand out for you as well, and help the consumer understand what those are. So whether you decide to take a screenshot of this list, or you can go to the Qolsys dealer portal and download this list from our builder downloads page, there's a long list of devices that we personally suggest you put in so that you can show the consumer that you can do everything possible, from a technology, safety, life safety, security, energy management standpoint, all of it, being able to do all of it through that, as in addition to things like voice control, Amazon Echo, Google Home, etc., putting those throughout the home as well, or working with the builder to get them and then connect them to the system. But it's not just about putting devices in. You also want to make sure everything's configured the right way. And one mistake we see a lot of dealers make is that they'll get the free stuff, they'll install it, and then they'll walk away and assume everything's good. You can't assume that because a system's installed somewhere that A, people are going to use it, B, people know how to use it, and C, everything's configured properly. So we really recommend certain rules and notifications to complete that model home experience. And again, this same checklist is available on the Qolsys dealer portal. You can download it on the builder downloads page. And if you don't have that link or don't have access, you can let Whitney know, and she'll make sure that you get access or get the link to register. But, creating custom names for every sensor and device. It's one thing to open the front door and you hear a sound say front door or, door open. It's another thing when you open the pantry door and it says pantry door open, or child's bedroom open, or medicine cabinet open, things like that. Those kind of things, as they hear them, they're like, hey, this is unique, this is smart. And it creates this subliminal effect on the consumer as they're walking through the home. This is a smart home. It seems like it knows where I am. It knows what's happening throughout this whole thing. User codes for each person who's supposed to access the home. Each one of those salespeople in the model needs to have their own user code, and maybe a generic user code like 1234 with access limited only during business hours, so it can't be used to disarm the system, but they can use that as a demo code and use that to disarm the system or things like that. Excuse me. Smart schedules for exterior lights, off at dusk, on at dawn, on at dusk, off at dawn, things like that. Geo services, Bluetooth touchless disarming. Imagine a model home salesperson coming to the model and it automatically disarms the system. The front door unlocks. They walk inside. The kitchen light turns on. It makes a great experience for them. And as they have those great experiences, those personal experiences with the system, they're going to share those with the consumers. They're going to talk about how cool the smart home is. The more you can get those salespeople talking about the system, which is going to happen through you setting this stuff up the right way, the more likely they are to share that with the end user. So there's a lot of really important things you can do here. Madison, anything I'm missing, anything that stands out to you that you think is an important thing to point out?
No, I think this is a great checklist to go through, and this almost lines up somewhat with the alarm.com 6 best practices. So it's the same idea. If you're setting up an account of your own, obviously you want them to have all of the best things set up so that they'll be a lifelong customer. You need to think of it the same way with the model home as well. So really setting them up for success so they can demonstrate that effectively.
Yeah, you would think, oh, it's just a model home. There's no owner there. I don't need to worry about that stuff. But it's actually almost more important in a model home to get those things done, and not just for the one person who's the manager or whatever, but for every single person in the home, making sure that they understand all of it, so that all the salespeople in the home can effectively demonstrate that and share the cool, exciting things about it.
Jeremy, I'd like to add one piece to the model home. So actually, we do a lot of monitoring in. One of the reasons we're excited to join the Home Builder series in construction, right? Where new construction's going up, people are worried about theft of materials, damage to vandalism of the homes, things like that. And so a lot of these model homes are monitored as well. And one other piece to add to that checklist is to make sure that you've got the monitoring settings set up correctly, either through alarm.com or with the monitoring center that you're working with, because that'll create the full user experience for the home builder, for the salespeople, and also protect the home.
Absolutely, and that goes right into the next subject, which is actually managing those model homes, because most likely a builder has more than one, right? And so to manage that properly, alarm.com has created this enterprise dashboard that makes it easy. Well, Madison, why don't you share what you know about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen a lot of success with builders utilizing our property management service plans. And so if you think about these service plans, they're essentially our commercial service plans, but with a residential look and feel, because, builders are less, they don't really care as much about openings and closings as they do, what activity is going on in the home. So it really allows them to get a high-level overview of, what exactly is going on in the home. So as you can see here on the dashboard, they can log into alarm.com and see every single model home that might be within a community. They could even link divisions together if it's someone who needs to even have that high of a level. So it really allows them to, have that awareness of what's going on. And this, we spoke about this a little bit as well. At the end of the day, are all of these model homes locked up? Are the lights turned off? Are they armed at the end of the day? And you'd be surprised in a lot of our conversations. A lot of times builders don't know, and they might even be hiring someone specifically to check these things at the end of the day, which you can obviously solve for them just utilizing technology.
Absolutely. And this technology extends, to the people that are not even going to those model homes on a regular basis, people who just want to simply, protect those assets. And protecting that asset, and that model home represents a massive investment. They built a whole home that they won't sell until all the other homes sell, which means all of the appliances, all the carpet, all the everything in there are all assets that they have had to put in. We're talking furniture and everything. That's a very important asset to the builder. And so to go into a conversation with a builder and say, not only can I give your customers all these amazing smart home things that they want, but on top of that, I can actually help you keep track of those assets and protect those assets in a way that will make sure that you don't have that theft. One question you can ask a builder is, do you ever experience theft in your models or in any of your homes before they do it? And if they say, and if the answer is yes, which there'll always be, every conversation I've had with a builder, they roll their eyes and go, oh my gosh, it's so much. And obviously different areas are have different experiences, and different builders have different experiences, but that is a real pain point for them. And if you're thinking about the cost of all the equipment that you're putting in and things like that compared to, thank you very much, compared to the cost that the builder is doing, a lot of times I've heard many dealers tell me builders really, really concerned about cost. They're really concerned about pricing. They're really finicky about that kind of stuff. And I get that, and I understand that. They've got a lot of line items to balance and things to figure out. But that theft, that shrink, as it will, is a real line item for them, especially if they're a larger builder. So to help them manage that and reduce that is a tremendous value add that you can provide them, and you can provide them with a visual way to see this. And I think that last line there on the screen, notifications, is a really important one too. What if you got a text message, Mr. Builder, every time that garage door was opened in the model after business hours? Wouldn't that be good to know? I mean, chances are that appliances and other things are being loaded out through the front door or the garage door. Wouldn't you like to know when that door is being opened, when it shouldn't be open? And now you can see. Wouldn't you like to be able to go in and look at the camera and see what's going on in that home, things like that? So it's a really powerful solution that you can bring to a builder that, again, Nest isn't going to be able to do something like this. Ring isn't going to be able to do something like this. SimpliSafe isn't going to be able to do something like this. This is something unique to the platform that Qolsys and Alarm.com can bring, that's going to have a whole home security system, whole home smart automation, energy management, etc., and the ability to manage it all remotely. It's a very, very powerful solution for them. I should have fast forwarded to this one. This is the property awareness thing. So again, property awareness, you're talking about high-low temperatures, HVAC troubles, water leaks detected. I mean, again, another great question you can ask a builder is, have you ever had a flood in a home that's being built or a model home? Knowing that kind of information before then can help you prevent that leak from becoming a lake. So a lot of really powerful things that you can do with this solution. We also talked in our last webinar about the importance of you creating model home programs, executive programs, and an employee purchase program. And that last one there, I think, is especially relative, I guess is the right word, for this particular conversation, because you've got employees that are walking into model homes that need to be able to talk about carpet and appliances and all these other things that they're doing. Those model home employees have a lot of responsibilities. What kind of priority are they going to place on security technology, smart home technology, things like that? Well, the more they can have a personal experience with that, whether that's through the model itself or through their own home, the more likely they are to talk about your stuff. So let's talk about training your model home sales reps. Oh, please. Oh, yeah. So before we do that, let's get to the questions. I keep forgetting that. We got so much content to cover today. Go ahead, Whitney.
First, I want to know if they'll qualify. Builders in my area don't build communities. They build more individual homes with their office in a model home. And that's a question from William.
Okay, great question, William. There are a lot of builders who say, I just build 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 homes a year, and we build it up and then we sell them. A lot of the custom home builders do that kind of thing. You wouldn't qualify for the model home program, but based on the opportunity, reach out to builderprogram@alarm.com. Let's see if there's something that, and builderprogram@qolsys.com. Let's see if there's something we can do for you. Let's see if there's something we can work with on you. If nothing else, maybe we provide some extra assets and materials and things like that from a marketing perspective that will help you enhance that experience. But not having the volume there, let's see if we can create some volume for you, and let's see what other builders are in your area that maybe we could take that same experience. If you're going to invest in one home and say, I'm going to put a whole bunch of stuff in this one home, but now I'm going to take that same experience, I'm going to walk across the street to another builder and say, look what we're doing over here for these guys. Look how awesome it's turning out. Go take a look at that model home. Go see how amazing it is. I want to do it for you on a large scale with your whole community. It could be a great way to generate leads around builders as well. So great question, William. Thank you for asking. Other questions, Whitney?
Yes. Eric Brown asks, what about the devices to promote for lighting, Z-Wave light switches, things like that? Can we offer that?
So we don't have those kind of things that we don't sell lighting specifically. We've got some items here and there. If it's something specific, let's have a conversation about it. I think there's other partners we could bring into the mix. There's lots of Z-Wave light manufacturers out there who may have some kind of program, not one that I'm aware of, but maybe we could work together on something. I think another great thing to do is, like we mentioned earlier from last webinar, is getting electricians to do a lot of that lighting for you. We talked with a builder. Whitney and I were doing a model home, helping work on a Parade of Homes house model home a few weeks ago. And one of the things the builder said is, I want to go and put, this special brand of lighting in all of my stuff. And I said, what kind of technology is it? And we talked about it, established that it wasn't Z-Wave, and we said, we recommend doing Z-Wave instead. And he went through and changed everything, changed his whole plan, and installed all Z-Wave lights all throughout the house. The builder oftentimes is willing to do that. And if you remember from our last webinar, we talked about the amount of budget that builders are allocating towards smart home technology. It's growing. That percentage for last year, if I remember correctly, was 9%, and I believe it's supposed to be either 11 or 13% in this coming year. So there is money out there in the builders' pockets for this kind of technology, whether that's used for lighting or used for the technology that you can bring. I think there's opportunities to work with the builder together. And I think that's another great thing to do here is partner with your builder. This isn't about you going and trying to sell the builder and getting the job. This is about you going and partnering with the builder to say, how can we bring this technology together to all of your potential home buyers and attract more home buyers to your home, which is going to sell you more homes and have a better experience altogether. So great question. Thank you for asking it. Any other questions that we should address, Whitney?
Yes.
Okay.
Tabitha asks, what do you all suggest for a builder who has a lot of turnover? We're constantly changing codes for new salespeople to the builder. It's become a huge labor draw, just educating the continual turnover.
Turnover is a big one, and that's going to be one that you're going to have to battle with. I think, my first reaction to that is teach a man to fish. If you teach them how to use the system, teach them how to have access to the system, they can assign their own user codes. They don't have to worry about calling you to do that. They could do that right from the panel. They could do that from their alarm.com account. As we showed a moment ago with the executive or the dashboard, the model home dashboard, they should be able to do that from here. Is that right, Madison? You've got user management loaded.
Absolutely. One of the great benefits of using the property management services is that if they have multiple model homes, you can create user codes that apply to multiple locations. So, when you hire someone and they're responsible, for going to multiple locations, you create the user code once. At the end of the day, if you have turnover and they go somewhere else, you click one delete button and it's gone from all of the locations. So it really helps with some of that management that you're talking about.
Absolutely, that's great. Other questions, Whitney?
Yeah. Joe asks, are the security monitoring costs for builders looking to use equipment for maybe just a few months in a model home?
Sorry, it's hard because you're saying it here, and then I also hear it in my ears. So, no, it's okay. No, it's okay. Repeat it again.
Security monitoring costs for model homes.
Oh, yeah. So a model home, let's say you've got a model home. The question is, what do you do if you've got a model home that's only open for a few months? How do you manage those costs? Well, if you think about the investment you're making in a model home, and all the equipment and things like that, you obviously want to be able to do it. That's up between you and your builder, whether or not you charge them. You may even decide, hey, to monitor your model homes, to protect against theft, to stop your appliances from disappearing, it's only X dollars per month. And I'm not going to sign you to a contract because your model home is only for a short period of time. So we'll do that for a short period of time until I can convert that to a full customer later. Maybe you want to donate that as part of your contribution. Alarm.com is going to donate all this equipment. Qolsys is going to donate equipment. Your contribution might be, monitoring that home for a few months. I know one dealer I worked with the Parade of Homes we mentioned earlier. We had him donate a month of free service for the home. We donated some equipment because we were doing photo shoots around it, and he donated the service with the understanding and expectation with the builder that at the end of the month, if you would like to continue, I'll need you to sign up with the program. If not, then I'll be turning it off. But you do get 1 month of free service with this. You might do something similar. Again, this is a conversation with your builder based on the opportunity you have, based on the things you're working on, based on your goals with that builder and perhaps their influence in the market. You need to decide how best to handle that. But I think there's a lot of opportunities out there for either you to cover it and or donate it, or ask the builder to help cover some of that cost as well. So great questions. Let's move on. We've got some other stuff to cover, and we'll get some more questions here in a moment because I know there's a lot of them. So we were talking about training those model home sales reps, and there is a lot of turnover with them. That is something that model home sales reps can come and go. So you have to make sure that number one, those demos are easy. You want to make sure and there's an example of a script that you can offer up as part of this as a download on the dealer portal. You can use that. It's an example of here. Let me do a demo of the weather, and then you go over and do a door left open notification and adjust the thermostat, and then you can go to a smart lock, and then video doorbell streaming, things like that. So there's a nice little demo flow there. This is just one example of a demo you might do with the behaviors you need to add in and the devices that you would need to have as part of that. But if whatever that demo experience is, you need to make it easy enough that the model home salespeople can do it without a lot of training, that they can say, let me just show you real quick how to do voice control on a light. And, we'll talk about this in a moment, but having something there that allows them to read exactly what they have to say and then let the customer do it. And those easy demos shouldn't just be for the model home sales reps. It should also be for the people walking through the home. If there's something that the person walking through the home that the potential home buyer can do themselves to demo that, or to have the salesperson let them demo that in a way that makes it very easy. Again, that there shouldn't take a lot of effort for them and a lot of time, because remember, those model home salespeople, they got a lot of other priorities. They're going to be thinking about carpet and about appliances and about, paint colors and all sorts of things, but which model are you going to choose and which lot do you want? And this is only one small thing on a long list of large line items that they're trying to attack. So the simpler you can make this demo, the easier it's going to be. And that can't get any simpler when you've got personal experience. Whether that personal experience comes because you sold them a system as part of your model home or as part of your employee purchase program, or because you've set up the model in such a way that they have access to it and they're using it every day as part of their job, having that personal experience will definitely have an impact on your sales. You'll see it time and time again. Make sure you give them access. We talked about this a moment ago. Give them access to create their own user codes, to create their own rules, to configure things on the panel and in the alarm.com account. If you give them access and create notifications and alerts around things, doors left open, thermostat adjusting, disarm photo captured by the built-in panel camera on the IQ panel, live video streaming to their phone. If each salesperson has the alarm.com app on their phone and access to the model home on that, you set up multi-system access. They've got their personal home and they've got the model, and they can easily switch back and forth. They will show that stuff to them. Again, that personal experience can really, really have a huge impact. I also want you to consider the model home their office. Treat it like it's an actual building, like it's not just a model or a pretend house, but it's an actual place where they're going to work. If you were setting up this system for a dentist and the dentist needed access to all this stuff, you would do certain things. Do the same thing here. This is their office. So set up the right notifications, set up the right access, set up the right apps on their phones and on their tablets, things like that. Get them fully set up the same way you would every other customer you've got. Madison, anything to add on this?
No, I think this is, a great starting place. And as you mentioned, you want to really help set the sales agents up for success and give them all the tools that they need to really be able to talk about this effectively. And I know we'll mention here in a moment, because there is a lot of turnover and things that does happen with builders, it's also nice having signage, decals, whatever it might be to place throughout the home as well, just to help even promote a self-guided aspect of a tour.
And
absolutely.
Where you talk about the employee program, Jeremy, if you have some of these folks that are using these things at home, the demo is just a thing they do every day at their house. So it's very fluid. It makes for an easier sale. It's easier for them to communicate. So that program is very important because it educates them on their own time.
It really does. And then as a consumer is walking, or a potential home buyer is walking through the home, like Madison was saying, if it's like a museum, like a self-guided tour, if you've got flyers over places, you've got device labels next to important devices, maybe you got a tablet loaded up with content on there, maybe you're playing a video on the TV screen, let's pretend that the model home has got a lot of people in it. There might be one couple looking at, carpet options, and they're being talked to by the sales rep. And if there's only one sales rep in the home, the other people walking through that model are going to just kind of wander. What are they going to see? What are they going to pay attention to? Madison, alarm.com has been testing out some of these product labels, right?
Yeah. We've kind of created an initial beta of these product smarter model home kits is what we're calling them. And it just is comprised of signage and these decals that you're seeing here that really give a snippet about what the product is and tells a little bit about it. And if it is in some way connected to a voice control component in the home, gives an example command that you can obviously help the builder in setting up when you're configuring the model home as well. So, like we said, it's about really creating almost a museum experience where if someone is just going to walk through a model home, if there's not even a sales rep there, they should be able to walk through the home and really get a feel for all the technology and its capabilities without even needing to talk to anyone.
Absolutely. Imagine the couple walking through and, oh, look, honey, they got an Amazon Echo. Oh, let's try this. Alexa, turn off the light. And the light turns off right there. Oh, look how cool that was. Alexa, turn off the thermostat. Oh, look at that. That's really working. And they get to see all these things. Again, when we talked earlier about decking out that model home, providing the equipment that alarm.com and Qolsys and others provide, and then adding your own equipment into it, these little labels placed throughout the home will help you really demonstrate what that can do, whether they're being led by someone or not. And if they are being led by someone, one more note on that. The panel itself can be an on-screen billboard. Maybe you want to put a welcome message, welcome to the smart home of the future, or welcome to our company, or things like that. Maybe you want to demonstrate different features. Maybe there's some kind of incentive, buy a home from, XYZ builder today and you'll get a free, whatever product. Maybe it's a demo suggestion. Try saying this on the voice control. Try touching the screen and doing this, ask the representative about, this demo. Ask for a representative to show you a demo of the video doorbell today, things like that. Again, thinking about those key devices that are so important to builders or to home buyers that they're going to be buying this year. 43% that they're going to buy something. Those demos should be incorporated into this. You can put that right on the screen. So as they're walking past the panel or the secondary tablet in a bedroom or in a hallway, they see that and say, oh, honey, we should go ask about that and try that out. You can put your contact information. And of course, your branding then gets represented throughout the home as well, which, helps build value in the home. And if you are doing a guided tour, again, those salespeople can be armed with things like Sales Flicks, the alarm.com demo app, or the actual app for the home there. You could use the emulator that you can download from the App Store or Google Play Store and emulate the panel's experience there. So a guided tour could be more robust with some of these other assets that you can get on the Qolsys dealer portal on the builder downloads page. And again, if you want access to that portal and don't have it, reach out to Whitney here. She'll make sure you get it. There's a lot of flyers too and things that you can download and use. I think flyers is one of those tricky subjects. Do I leave flyers in the home? Do I put them there? Is the builder even going to allow them to be there? Every situation is different. And I think you're going to want to be very careful about what you choose, if you choose anything, not only from where do I get to put it and make sure it's not wasted paper, but also, how often do I go replenish it? How often do I make sure that there's new stuff and that it's relevant and things like that? But there are flyers available on the marketing portal for alarm.com and the builder portal the dealer portal for Qolsys. So feel free to use those, download those. And if you want some customization on those, I believe that's also available as well. And check back regularly. I think this is a really important thing for you as a dealer. If you've spent all this time and all this effort into a model home, you want to create a checklist of things you need to check on each time you go visit that model home. Don't just outfit the model home and walk away and never see it again. Secret shopper it every once in a while. Go in there and pretend to be a home buyer and see what the sales reps talk about. See if they mention it. See what their opinion is of it. Ask questions, things like that. That'll help you understand how well they're trained, what stuff is important to them, if they're doing a good job on that stuff. Retrain people as needed. And make sure you're following up and training new staff. We talked earlier about the turnover in those model homes, the salespeople, leaving and new ones coming in. When are they going to get trained? How are you going to train them? Share the best practices from other homes. As you go through and you talk with the model homes and you go to the next one, you can share what you learned from one with another one. What works for you? What do people seem interested in? Share those around so that other salespeople who are eager and excited to make more sales can do so easily. You'll want to check all your signage as you walk through the house. Make sure that any signs you put up, they don't get dog-eared, they haven't been ripped off or torn off or moved or things like that. Make sure that the actual things are working. You're going to want to replenish any flyers or cards you have and check your system. Is the photo frame still playing the way it should? Are the alerts still happening the way they need to? Does the new staff have access? Are the sensors and devices working? Checking that regularly to make sure that model home experience is great is going to ensure that every time a new home buyer comes in, they get the experience you planned and not simply a potentially broken experience. There's nothing worse than walking into Best Buy and saying, ooh, that's a cool new device. Let me try it out. And the demo thing is broken. Or going into another store and wanting to try out the new Lazy Boy recliner. And, oh, yeah, the handle's broken on that. You want that model home experience to be so amazing that they say, this is something I want to have. This is something I want to buy. So pretty something. So in summary, you've got a model home program that you have access to. Send an email to builderprogram@qolsys.com or builderprogram@alarm.com, and we'll help you get started. Deck out that model. make sure that in addition to the equipment that we provide to you as part of the model home program, that you add your own equipment there, fully deck out that model and protect that model. Make sure that all the assets that are inside that home, all of the investment that the builder has made is protected through the services you can provide, and that will again help build value in what you do as a professional. Create an employee purchase program, especially for those salespeople inside the model home, so that they can have those first-hand experiences and share their personal stories with the potential home buyers. Do your model home staff training. Make sure that they are trained and ready to go so they can share this interesting, exciting, and cool demos with your customer. Make sure that your self-guided and guided tours are all ready to go. Make sure that you've got everything set up to do that regularly, and check back regularly. Make sure that you're always checking back. Whitney, before we end today and wrap up, are there any questions that we haven't answered that we should?
Yes, just a few. Of course, I'm not ready. 1 second.
You can do it. You can do it, Whit. You can do it.
Joe asked, have you found any sensitivities from sales staff or potential home buyers around cameras being active during walks?
Cameras being active during walks.
Madison, what do you think about that?
It's kind of echoing on my end. Can you repeat the question, Jeremy?
Yeah, go ahead, Whit. No, go ahead, Whit. Repeat it again.
Sensitivities for sales staff or potential home buyers
around cameras. What's the sensitivity? So if I'm understanding this correctly, he's basically saying, what about people who are sensitive to being watched by cameras that are in the model home? It's a possibility. Go ahead, Madison.
Every state has different requirements for, whether you have to denote or designate whether you're being recorded. I believe most states you do. You have to have some type of signage saying, recording in progress. But I would just talk about that with your builder. Obviously, there's value for them, especially if they're concerned about theft and things like that. But it's important to kind of look at some of the requirements for your state as well.
Perhaps it's as simple as putting a smile you're on camera sign, somewhere in the home, so that as they walk in, they understand that, they could be recorded. And I don't think it's too, this is a place of business, right? I don't think it's too unheard of or, for someone to walk in and understand that, you're in someone else's home, you're in someone else's business, and we are potentially recording you, and, you shouldn't do anything stupid like knock over my lamp. So, yeah.
It's all about how you message it, right? So if you have people that are demoing, right, and somebody asks the question, oh, are you recording this? Well, no, it's part of the system. Here, let me show you more about it, right? And they can demo that and understand why, the purpose of the cameras.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whitney, what else? Yeah, just tell me, and I'll repeat them.
Can we arm builders with for the advantages of professional products like Qolsys, McLerran.com versus more broadly available DIY systems such as Simply Safe Rating?
Great question. So the question is, what information can we arm the builders with that shows the superiority of the professional security model or the professional dealer versus those DIY type dealers that are out there in the market? And there's a lot of stuff out there. The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that there is, the materials that are on the dealer portal. You can show off some of those materials. You can take and download the flyers and things like that. The data that we've shared today, especially when you talk about interoperability, the whole concept of interoperability is pretended with many of the competing products that are out there, but not actually realized as much as they pretend it is. If you think about the ability to control lights, locks, thermostat, security, life safety, your garage, your cameras, everything, all from the same app, all from the same panel, that consistent experience that connects all of them together. And things like the ability to, tell a door sensor that it is, today it's a security sensor. And when the system is armed, it's going to set off the alarm. Later on today, when the system's disarmed, it's going to be a energy management device, and it's going to tell the thermostat, hey, by the way, my door is left open, turn the thermostat down. And it's also going to be a chime that's going to let someone know, hey, by the way, the door opened up, my kids are going out the door. Those devices can serve multiple purposes, and because they're all part of an ecosystem, that same device can work together within that ecosystem to perform multiple actions and multiple things. So that one app is amazing. And the other big part of it is the white glove service that you provide as a dealer, going out there and talking to the, to the end user, talking to the builder. The builders, a lot of times they'll tell you, when I have a problem with some of this stuff, guess who the customer calls? They call me. I don't want them calling me. And you could say, don't worry about it. They're going to call me. I'm here. And if they ever do call you, just tell them, call me instead, because that's what I'm here for. You're not going to get that with those competing products. You're not going to get the level of white glove service that you're going to get that you can provide. And that's why I made this statement before, and I'll make it again now. I believe the security dealer is perfectly poised to deliver the Internet of Things to today's consumer. You guys out there are in the market. You can deliver all of it. And what you have to do is you have to recognize that people want to buy this stuff. You have to start marketing this stuff in a way that gets them excited about it. And you have to show off the whole gamut of what you can provide, that whole entire smart ecosystem. You can't just do security and that's good enough. And we can also do smoke detectors. You can do all of it. Show them you can do all of it. And the tricky part is going to be, how do you show them you can do all of it without overwhelming them? And if you're doing it in a partnership type way and in a demo type way, I think you can have some great success here. I got another note here. So another, pointing out that this is going to come with the home purchase, and we've seen that that's been very successful with the D.R. Horton program, is the fact that it's coming with your home. This isn't one of those things. And the programs that we've seen be really, really successful. We shared in our last webinar how you can get up to a 70% take rate, which is almost unheard of in the market. It's literally flipping the industry on its head. You can get up to a 70% take rate if you do it the right way. And part of that, in my opinion, and in the research that we've done and the experiences we've had, has been making sure that every single home has a panel, has sensors, has smart devices, things like that. When every single home has it, and you can then build on it, you eliminate your introductory costs, your startup costs, and the homeowner is much more likely to continue to build that thing out. But that also means, another plug for continuing to talk to your customers, you need to have a program to continue talking to your customers. Almost none of your customers will buy everything you can possibly sell today. They just won't. You'll find very, very few of them who are willing to spend, thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on a sensor for every single door, on cameras for every single room, on all that stuff. They're going to pick a few things, but that doesn't mean they're done. They're going to want to do more. And you have to have a plan. You have to have a way to say, you know what, in 6 months from now, when you're ready for a new device, I'm here and ready for you, and I'm ready to get you that next device. When they start, other companies start marketing new technologies and new things, when they start thinking, ooh, a smart doorbell or a smart light bulb would be really cool by the back porch, that the first person they call is you. That means that they have to be aware of all of your services and all the things you can do. That means you've got to be contacting them and communicating with them. Maybe it's a newsletter you send out once a quarter that talks about all the cool technologies you can do. Maybe you get them to participate on your social media where you show those things off on a regular basis. Whatever the case is, and again, the Qolsys and Alarm.com marketing teams can help you do all of these things. Whatever the case is for you and your situation, you've got to make sure your customers understand everything you can do, and that you, as the professional, can offer that white glove service throughout the whole experience. So, great questions. Whitney, we're running out of time. Any more big questions that we got to answer? Please.
The only one I thought was really good was builders are working with other companies that are giving away extra Amazon devices and home devices.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of recipes are there to have them work with Alarm.com and voice control and things like that?
Yep. So the question is, there's a lot of companies out there giving away, Google Homes and Amazon Echoes and all those kind of things to builders. And, Google and Amazon are very good about proliferating those voice control devices through it. I think personally, and Madison, you chime in here as well, I think personally, the fact that those devices work with the Qolsys and Alarm.com combined solution and only enhance it, I think is perfect. Let them give away all those devices. And then I personally would walk into that home and say, you know what, I can unlock the true power of that voice control device. Sure, it's nice that you can ask Google to give you a recipe. Sure, it's nice that you can ask, Amazon Alexa what the weather's going to be like today. But I'm going to let you open your garage, adjust your thermostat, arm your security system, fill in the blank. All these great things you can do, I'm going to help you unlock the true power of turning that device from a niche, fun, device into an actual way to control your whole entire home, in addition to giving you mobile access from your smartphone and in-home access on the 7-inch touchscreen. I think it's perfect. Madison, what do you have to add to that?
No, I agree totally, Jeremy. And you know, some builders, they're very interested in making the voice control platforms a standard in every home. That was the case with D.R. Horton. And then others, you know, they want to not necessarily lock a homeowner down to a specific voice platform, so they make it more of a consumer-driven purchase after the fact, or even make it an option. But the good thing about our integrations is because we have, you know, integrations with Google Home, Amazon Echo, and Siri shortcuts, you know, the builder really has the ability to market their communities and say that they're Amazon Echo ready, it's Google Home ready, Siri ready. So no matter what the preference of a homeowner is in terms of voice platforms, we really have it covered.
I was on mute, sorry. Absolutely, thank you for that, Madison. Now, again, there's a lot of questions. If you'd like to have all of your questions answered, Whitney's still answering them. We'll stay on the line here and answer those questions. I know we've gone way over our time today, so I appreciate everyone's patience joining us today. Reminder, next week, next Thursday on August 22nd at 11 a.m., we are going to be doing a webinar called Creating an Amazing LTE Program. And the goal here is to give you an ability to market to your existing customer database and upgrade them from 3G to LTE. We'll be announcing the Qolsys program with that, tying in with the other partners that are giving you opportunities to greet those upgrade programs. We'll share with you some really exciting videos and email templates and things like that we've created, and some of the best practices we've gained from the dealers that are out there doing these programs now. And if you are not doing these now, whether it's you in your company doing it or someone else in that company, you need to attend this webinar. It's going to be absolutely powerful to understand the impact that this is going to have by starting now, learning what's going to be effective, and then using that to implement into all of the rest of your LTE upgrades going on. We also have the third in our Builder webinar series coming up on the August 29th, and that's going to focus on new home buyer appointments, how to increase your take rates, and talking all about that new home buyer experience. When you're interacting with that home buyer from the time they first see the information in your model to the time you walk out the door with that contract in your hand, we're going to talk about that whole process and how to increase your take rate as often, as high as you possibly can. We're going to share best practices on what other people are doing, how they're getting up to a 70% take rate by interacting with these customers early and often, and what kind of things that customers are really resonating with, what kind of products, devices, and services are really resonating with customers. So again, hoping you'll join us for that webinar as well. Spencer and Madison, thank you so much for joining us today. I think this has been an amazing webinar. I think the information we've shared has been very powerful. I'm hoping that our dealers are really enjoying this and that it's something they can put to good use. If you need to contact either of these wonderful people, the contact information is right there. Whether you want some more data from Spencer about some of the Parks Associates data that he gathered, or you want to work with Madison on builder program opportunities, or with Qolsys on marketing opportunities or builder program opportunities. Again, thank you very much for your time. We're going to go ahead and go offline here, and we're going to put the phone on mute and turn this off. But again, if you have still got a question that has not been answered, stay on the line. We'll type our answers out to you. And a recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube page. Later on today, we'll have this uploaded and you'll be able to watch that. And then the follow-up email that will come out tomorrow will also include a link to that recorded webinar. So again, thanks very much, and we hope to see you next week on our LTE upgrade webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.